Hello, this is Ibrahim, and in this video I'm going to talk a little more about MongoDB. We know that MongoDB is basically a NoSQL database. Um, it's not an SQL database. The thing is with SQL databases that you would want to spend some time developing the model of the database, deciding what should be the relation between the tables, one to one, what has to be one to many, and then so on and so forth. And if you develop something over the database, it's very hard to change it afterwards. It's very difficult, at least that's what I know of. With the rise of with NoSQL, is that the reason NoSQL started to thrive and started to shine is simply because it solves problems that exist with SQL databases. Most dominant problem, or most prominent problem, is basically scalability and flexibility as well. MongoDB is very flexible, is very scalable, it's very easy to simply plug in a machine and you're good to go. Recovery and so on and so forth is very well handled in MongoDB. Hopefully I will be able to at least give you the basics in these videos. At least we try to achieve the insertions, updates, deletions, and such with these videos. So yeah, let's start. Let's go ahead. Assuming that you have installed MongoDB, the installation procedures are very clear, very straightforward. If you're using, but there is a requirement if you're using Windows. I'll post a link to where you, if you just go to MongoDB, you will find all the instructions you need. So assuming that you have MongoDB installed, and if you want to run it as a service like the way I have it here, I have it as a running service. Whenever I start my computer, it's always running. You can check out my blog on my website here. I've brought some instructions where you could auto run the service in Windows, and hopefully it will help you. Anyway, so let's go right to it. And if to start MongoDB, to start the database, I simply go Mongo, and there we are. So we're connected and everything is set. To show the list of databases, we simply do show DBs, and we get all the list of databases. If you want to show if you want to use a certain database, we can go, for example, if we want to create a database, you can simply do use, for example, and the database name. For this example, let's do MongoVid. And now if I want to see all the tables which are named collections in MongoDB, we simply do show collections like that, and since there are no collections there, nothing will show up. Now how about we insert a record, which basically is called a row in SQL, and it's named in MongoDB, it's basically called a document. So let's go ahead and insert a document. We simply do that by creating database dot the table name. Since there are no tables here, we can choose any table of our own, any collection. Let's name this, for example, videos. Sorry, let's call this, for example, videos. db.videos.insert, and then we can insert in a record. Now the thing is with database, with MongoDB, sorry, all the records or all of the documents exist in a JSON format. You simply start with a bracket and you close with the brackets, and there are key values for each of the documents. Say, for example, name of the video, that's the key, and the value would be, for example, tutorial number 1, tutorial 1, and for example, let's say length. Of course, if you're using the Mongo shell, you can skip using the for the keys. You can skip using the quotations, but it's a good practice to get used to them. So let's say that the length it takes in as a number. Say the length is 10 minutes. And what else? What should we do? And maybe probably speaker for the video. Speaker would be maybe Ibrahim as a text, like that. And let's insert this one. And then we get promoted with the result, with the query inserted. So now we can check the database for the records. Since we're still using MongoVid, we just click on, or sorry, key in show collections like that, and we see that videos is already there. Now system.index, this is an auto created index that based on the IDs. We'll talk about this in the future, so you can ignore this for now. Focus on the videos now, since we created db.videos.inserts. If you note here that there were no databases showing when we typed in show collections here, simply because no databases exist there. Now, for what we're going to do now for this purpose, since there are no tables or no collections exist, doing this will automatically create the collection for you. Now, to query in to show the collections, we've keyed in this one again, and we see in the videos that we've created here. Now, to see the information that exists in videos, simply do db.videos, which means we choose this collection. If you have multiple collections, you will choose the collection name that you need, db.videos.find, and then it takes us in an empty document, which means find everything. And in this case, we get to see the following information. Now, this is the document that we've created. You can see it's called tutorial 1, length 10 minutes, and speaker Ibrahim. You can see that this one has been automatically created. This is something to note. An ID is always generated. An underscore ID is always generated. And this basically is a combination of the timestamp and other information. You can, of course, choose not to opt in for the ID generated by the Mongo server. You can choose your own ID, and let's do that. Let me insert another record. Let me call this database tutorial 2, and the length maybe is 20 minutes, and the speaker again is Ibrahim. And this time, however, we're going to choose our own ID. So what are we going to do is underscore ID, like that. Of course, we can put it in quotes. It's always a good practice, since I've been doing this without brackets ever since I remember, so that's why it's kind of hard to apply this every time. However, I advise you to do that to get used to it. Anyways, for the ID, I'm going to choose an ID of my own. In this case, I'm going to key in number 5. And since it's a number, we get to see that the result has been written. And then we can show all the results again, like that. And we can see that our ID now is not an object created by the server. It's our own chosen ID. However, this approach, of course, it does work for you. However, keep in mind that you have to ensure consistency here. Say, for example, if we want to create another duplicate, say it's the same record, it will not allow us to do that. Let's see. And then we get an error, duplicate key error. You see, you cannot insert a document with the same ID, because IDs has to be unique. Now, similarly, what you should do is that if you decided not to use your own IDs, the server will choose an ID for you. If you can go ahead again and insert your own IDs. However, in your application, so that you can avoid such errors, you have to ensure consistency from your application. So there we are. So we got to see the records that we have. Now, how about we get to see them in a pretty face? Sorry, in a pretty manner. In this case, we've seen it. How about we create another record with the tutorial ID. Let's call this 3, and an ID of maybe 6. There we go. And then if we decided to do the same information but a different ID, it will also allow us to do that, simply because the ID is what has to be unique. So this is basically, you can consider this or think of this as the primary key in the table. And it's only this one. By default, this is the primary key, and IDs should always be unique. And it doesn't matter for the other records. And there we are. So now we have about let's see what we have in the database now. db.videos.find, and sorry, there's a mistake here, and there we are. So now we can see all of the documents that we have. These are all the documents. These are our own chosen IDs, and this is the ID that was generated by the Mongo server. Now, what if we want to display a record in a pretty manner, in a nice looking way? So what we could do is that we could add in pretty method. This is how we do that. And .find pretty. Let me add in an empty brackets here, like that. And you can see that for the multi-line, for example, for these ones, you can see how it was presented to us by the object tutorial 1. This is how it looks like. Now for the others, it's very simple. It's smaller than a few lines, half a line, and then you could see it simply very straightforward. Now let me display this one more time. Let me find, and then this will also now bring this will also beget another point. What if you want to search or to find a specific record based on a specific attribute? Say for example, I want to find a record where the name of the tutorial is tutorial 1. What we could do is that we could specify it here. Instead of leaving it empty, you can specify that the name would equal tutorial space 1. It has to be the same as it's the value has to be the same as what's in the database. So let's query this, and this is what we get. This is the result we're getting. Now what if we're looking for maybe speaker Ibrahim? We should be getting more than one result. There we are, and there we are. So we get multiple results. And interestingly though, since we have the pretty here, we get to display it in a nice manner. What if we try to display the first record without the pretty? You can see that it's a one line, and this gets quite complicated to read and understand if you have larger, more attributes and you have lists inside of attributes. For example, you can have something like this. Let's try to insert a new record with a new now this is an ID of 9, and let's add maybe something like tags to it. Now tags could be a list, maybe you could have a list of say for example Python. These are tags related to the video, maybe Mongo, maybe also Stack Overflow. There we are. So the record was inserted. Now if we try to display all of the records, db.videos.find, then we get to see that this is the record that we've inserted. This is the record that we've inserted. What if we try to display that one only, that specific one, with the ID of like that, with an ID of 9? And there we are. Let's print it in a pretty way, and there we are. You can see the difference now between presenting this and representing this. The format is much more easy, especially if you have lists, embedded documents, and so on and so forth. So basically that's it. Oh yeah, one more thing. What if we want to count the number of documents that exist in a collection? That's very simple. We just simply do db.videos, the collection that we want to count, to count the documents in, and then we add in count like this, and then we should be promoted with the number of documents that exist in this collection. So basically that's a quick intro to MongoDB. That's basically how things are. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. This is the best thing about it. And of course you can use several, basically the shell is based on JavaScript, so you can implement several JavaScript operations here. For example, let's store this in a variable, the result, var result equals, and then if we try to print the results, we will get 6. And then let's try to add result to 1, and then we get 7. So basically you can use several JavaScript implementations here. Basically the Mongo shell is based on the on JavaScript. What if we want to find based on multiple attributes? Now this is an interesting question. So let's do that. Now let's insert a record. Say for example tutorial number 3. You know what? Let's insert a new record. There's the insertion. There we are. So tutorial number 3, length of 20. What if we want to display all the videos to a unique ID? There we are. So what if we want to display, what if the condition, the where condition, the select clause has to be on multiple conditions? Say for example, where the tutorial is called tutorial 3 and the length is 20. So we could do that simply by adding, where's the find? There we are. So we could say, for example, we want to find where the name is called tutorial 3 with a space there, as well as, so we separate it by a comma, as well as the length is, say for example, 50. So we have only one record. What if we want to check where the length is 20? And there we are, we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 records. If we want to count these, we could add .count like that, and we get 4 results. So that's a basic introduction. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and have a good day. Goodbye.